everybody is on Zoom, okay, and attending the live classes. So let me do our so a formal welcome to everybody for the machine learning class. The full title of the course is Machine Learning in Semiconductor Manufacturing. Okay, so we'll be devoting, since you have not taken any course on machine learning till now, and so we'll be devoting maybe 80% of the course uh, in generally talking about machine learning, and maybe 20% of the course in how that can be applied to the semiconductor manufacturing or any general manufacturing industry. Okay, how it can be applied to that. So that is the basic gist of the course. So uh, till now, in the last 7 years, my thoughts about how to teach students has changed a little bit. I used to think that teaching them in the class theory will help them learn, but I think it helps them learn. But along with that, a lot of practice is also required if you really want to include. Uh, Make that a part of your life in one sense. Okay, that becomes second nature to you. Okay, so to enhance that learning, we'll be applying a two-pronged approach. Okay, what is the two-pronged approach? Uh, First will be the theory lectures. Okay, I expect everybody to be here during the lectures, although officially the institute, whatever they say, that attendance is not compulsory or whatever. So, but it does not matter to me uh, whether it is compulsory according to the institute or not. In practice, it is advisable, if you really want to do well in this course, that you come to the lectures live. Do not watch them on YouTube. You won't get. I can assure that you that uh, even if the content is the same or anything is the same, I think you lose 50% by not coming to the class. Okay, even if you watch the lecture later on YouTube, I would not recommend doing that. Okay, so please come to the class. That makes so that your flow of life or learning is maintained, that you come to the lectures. Okay, another thing is that so that is theory part. We'll have lectures, and the second is the practice. Okay, so as I mentioned that we'll have tutorials from the next week onwards. So we'll do some hands-on training on how to apply these machine learning models on real life data. That is not really real life data. Means it is, in one sense it is real life data, but in one sense it is not. So we'll be using a platform called Kaggle. Everybody might have heard of it. Anybody who has not heard of it? You all know what it is? Maybe. Anybody knows what Kaggle is? Have you heard of it? Or no? Oh, Mama, you chose the topic.
Yes, so
Did
I've
you?
heard of it. Yeah.
You have heard of it. Other than the title of my project, did you hear of it before that? Or
Yeah,
no?
yeah, I've heard of it before and I've tried some, like a little only, like not much, but yeah, I've tried the platform as well.
Okay. Anybody else who has heard of it?
Yes, sir, I've heard.
So you have your competitive programming sites like
Code,
Top Coder or whatever you have codes. I don't know what they are. What are those? Can anybody name those? The
code
top
forces, code chef,
Code Chef. What else?
code forces, ad coder,
Okay.
elite
So
code.
so there are many which primarily focus on algorithms. Okay. This is a website that primarily focuses on what? Machine learning. Okay. there are competitions and so on and so forth. But we are not going to go into that. We are going to use data sets from there. So if you want to maximize your learning, okay, I would recommend not to look at the solutions beforehand. Give as much of an effort that you can without looking at the solutions. Okay, that will maximize your learning, because the goal of this particular course and is that you learn things. Okay, not just get good marks or get a good score on your assignment. The goal of the course is that you learn this subject. Okay, so we'll be in the tutorial section. We'll be primarily covering the hands-on aspect, so that I in the last semester, for the first time, I don't think I taught you guys digital, but for the first time last semester I taught digital, where I actually covered Verilog in the class, which was really appreciated by lots of students, and I think it helps the students, those who are not so good at learning themselves, to learn the techniques. Okay, so we'll be covering that in the course. Okay, so the marks distribution. So we have CWS and ETE and MTE. Your midterm exam is going to be 25 marks. End term is going to be 40 marks. Okay, and your CWS is going to be how much? Anybody?
35.
Come on.
35.
35.
Yeah, yeah. This is the maximum I could, according to the institute rules, this is the maximum I could give to CWS. I would prefer it to be 50 marks, but I cannot do that. Okay, this is the maximum I can, according to the institute rules, I can allot to CWS. Okay, which will, ET and MT are straightforward. You do not have any, but this will, again, please understand that ET and MT both will include both theory as well as your practice. Okay, so please do not skip either of these two things if you really want to do well in this course. Okay, both the theory as well as practice is going to be included in all the exams. Okay, and CWS will be divided into various components. Means these components might be added or subtracted. I'm just giving you an overview of what might be a part of CWS. Is your quizzes. Okay, these quizzes can be of two types: either announced quizzes, okay, or unannounced quizzes in class. Okay, either of these two types of quizzes are possible. Then you'll have assignments. What kind of your programming assignments in Python? Okay, and finally you'll have your some handwritten assignments, which cover assignments, or you can call them as tutorials. Okay, which cover whatever we covered theoretically. Okay, anybody has any questions? So as I mentioned in my email previously, I expect on an average 6 to 7 hours per work outside the class per week. Okay, none of this is a surprise to you guys. You already taken my course, and I already mentioned that in my email. And again, I want to mention that this is really a small class. There are only 7 officially registered students, so I would recommend not to help each other. Okay, again, help. You can help each other by discussing the problems, not an issue. You can help each other by anything except giving the solution is fine. Okay, you can help each other in any way you want, except during the exams. Okay, obviously if there is a quiz or an exam and I do not allow discussion with each other, that is a different issue. But in most other places you can discuss with each other, that is fine, but you cannot give the solution to the other person. Okay, you can discuss the solution, you can maybe take a help of understanding a particular small part of the code, or that is a different issue, but giving the solution is not an option. Okay, any questions anybody has? Any clarifications over here?
Sir? Sir,
Yeah, go ahead, Tanya.
sir, is this course more mathematical based or is it algorithm based?
Haha. What I am also confused
Sir,
about.
theory based.
Huh? Yeah, I understand the theory part. Uh, I don't think we'll be covering too much of algorithms because we do not have that much time. I'm thinking of maybe if the department allows to take a course next semester which covers the basics of algorithms of many of these uh, uh, implementations of machine learning tools. Okay. So in this particular course, we do not have sufficient time to go. Means the first thing that you will cover is most likely going to be an algorithmic exercise because that algorithm is not really that complex. Okay, but after that, we'll mostly be using libraries that are inbuilt into Python, not inbuilt into Python, that have been written for Python. So you'll not really be doing too much of writing algorithms. Do you understand?
Yes, sir, but actually I wanted to know if you're going to do like a lot of maths and probability and all.
I don't think there is going to be too much of that.
Okay,
Although,
okay, sir.
although that makes the basis of almost everything in machine learning, but I don't
Yes,
think
yes.
we have time for covering a lot of that. Okay, we'll be devoting maybe a couple of lectures, whatever is necessary. I'll try to cover it in the class. Okay, but it will
Yes,
not be primarily a statistical or a mathematical sort of course. Okay, and neither will it be an algorithm sort of course. It will be somewhere in the middle. Okay.
okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else has a question? Nope. Yeah. Uh, there is one more thing that I want to include. Uh, maybe not officially. I don't know. In CWS, which is uh, I've never done that before, but let us see how it goes. Okay. Again, anything can be subtracted or added to this later on CWS. Okay, so please do not. This is final. Okay, the weightages are final. That is what the institute asked me to do. Okay, I have finalized the weightages. These are a little bit flexible. What I'm going to include in CWS. One of that is class participation. Okay, so that includes both tutorial as well as class. So this is the smallest class I have ever taught in my life. So there are only 7 people, so it should not be too much of an issue in remembering you guys. So please please come to the class and participate heartily, and ask as many questions as you want. That is true in every class, but in this class, especially since the number of students is small, so probably the embarrassment quotient might be a little bit smaller for many students. So uh, please don't be afraid of embarrassing yourself or myself. If you have to ask a question, please go ahead and do so. Okay. So I would like. Again, the goal of the course is not to complete the syllabus or anything. The goal of the course is for you guys to learn something from this course. Okay.
Sir,
Anybody else has anything?
yes, sir.
Yeah, Shivansh, go ahead.
Sir, could there be anything like course project in this course since we are doing ML?
Yeah, yeah. So this part will probably have a big. Maybe I'll create teams, or you can do it individually if you want. We can have projects in that.
Yes,
Okay.
that would be
Yeah,
interesting.
good idea. Thank you. Means I was going to do that anyway, but but you clarify that's great.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody else? So does anybody have an issue with the amount of work that of the core for the course, or are you okay with that? Maybe a little bit more than that. Is that okay? Huh?
This is okay, sir. Not
हाँ सर ये ठीक है.
ठीक है चलो okay. Anyway, so let us begin with all these administrative things out of the way. Let me ask you, what do you understand by the term machine learning? I know it is a very catchy word, a hot topic in today's society, filled with data everywhere, with us on our mobile phones at all times. Obviously, it is, we are very freely giving our information to Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft. Anyway, so Amazon, I forgot about that. The initial leaders of this. Anybody? What do you know? What do you understand from the term machine learning? What is that?
So means basically we train a machine to think like a human by the training it, means by giving it examples so that it can guess what will happen in some other scenario.
So Shivansh is saying it is train a machine to think like a human. Anybody else? Come on.
सर सेट ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन दे दे कि मशीन अपना काम करे भाई
Yeah. Sorry, Aman. Yeah. What are you saying? दोबारा
मतलब
बोलोगे?
सेट ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन दे दे कि मशीन अपना काम वो मतलब सही से कर ले ऑन डिफरेंट कंडीशन टेस्ट इस टाइप में पास हो जाए
So you give it a set of conditions. So Aman is saying give a set of conditions so that does something. Okay, so that does something. Anybody else? So Aman, I want to ask you what I mean. Obviously, you guys do not know what it is, but so where is the learning aspect in this? Aman, what is it learning?
मींस मतलब कुछ नया सीख जाए
हाँ?
मतलब मतलब नए कंडीशन से फिर उसको ट्रेन कर रहे हैं ना मशीन को
Hmm. Chalo. Anyway, anybody else? Dipanshu, any idea? What is machine learning?
So what I understand is we give a particular amount of data to machine to a computer, or then the computer runs an algorithm to either classify that data into different groups, or for a particular result if you want from that data, or any pattern. So the more data we give to the machine or the computer, the more computer will learn, because to classify different kinds of things into different categories, data is needed. That's what I understand.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good explanation. Anybody else? Umama, what do you think is machine learning?
Uh, so basically, machine learning is the process by which we train a machine to, optimize and find solutions to some day-to-day problems. Let's say, for example, if I have to find some, like if I have some data that, given my choices, wants to find the most suitable products for myself, then machine learning is something which finds application in this area and recommends me products according to, similar interests stored by previous users and etc etc. So this is one of the problems solved by machine learning. So and therefore machine learning finds applications in multiple areas as well.
Okay. Sridhar?
We will train the machine by giving proper inputs, and after that, like mm, like we are doing this thing to we are doing this thing to test the machine for the different set of data.
Okay. So what Aman said is the way he formulated. Maybe he meant something else, but the way he formulated it was that you have some input, okay, okay, and you apply a transform on it. Let us call that transform as function fx, okay, and you get an output y, okay. What in traditional sort of programming or traditional algorithms, what do? We have the input, okay, and what do we know? In normal programming, what do we usually program? What do we usually program? In normal, when let us say you're trying to find a square root of something, okay, what do you usually program? Do you know the solution finally? Do you know the final solution?
No, sir.
Shivansh?
No, sir. I think we program fx and find y.
Yeah. So we program fx and find y. So this is in traditional programming. Okay. So we program fx, okay, and try to find y. Okay. But in many complex cases, okay, in many complex cases, programming fx is not really a possibility, okay, because the number of cases is so huge that even a human being may not be able to think about all the possibilities that may exist to be able to program fx, okay. For example, a simple thing like maybe handwriting recognition, okay. Let us say I write 9 in this manner, okay, somebody writes 9 like this, somebody writes 9 in a different manner. So if I were to ask you to convert an image, okay, you are given an image, okay, something like this, and you want to convert that into a digit, okay, you want to convert this into a digit. So to do this through traditional programming, where you program fx to give out the value y, okay, in this case, what is y going to be? So the image is your x, okay, and what is your output? The digit, okay. So the digit is your output, and how do you go from here to here? You need to find out what fx is, okay. So do you think can you come up with an algorithm that can possibly do that for this particular image?
No, sir.
Shivansh, you were saying something. I think you are unmuted yourself, but I couldn't hear you.
I don't think by conventional programming we can find fx.
Yeah, because the number of ways in which somebody would write 9 is almost infinite. Okay, because somebody may write 9 a little bit smaller. Somebody, means I am writing 9. My son writes 9 very differently. He does something like this. So everybody has a different way of writing whatever letters. So this is just one single digit which we are having difficulty in programming fx. Okay, so we give up this particular paradigm, okay. In machine learning, we are giving up this paradigm where we know what my input is and I program fx to find out an output y, okay. We give up this paradigm. What do? We give our our algorithm, okay. Our algorithm is written a little bit differently. What do we have? We have, for example, in this particular case, we have an image, okay, and a human being labels each of these images, okay. Let us say this is 9 9, and then we have couple more images. Let us call them as 7 7, okay. So you have these 4 images available to you, okay, and a human being labels each of these, okay. And so in this case it is going to be same because I'm using my handwriting everywhere, but please understand that these are labels, okay. So these labels have been assigned to these 4 values, okay. So now this is your input, okay. This is your output, okay, but both of these are given as the input. Both of these go as the input to the machine learning algorithm. Okay, so can you guess, or by looking at it, there's nothing to guess. So what do you think is going to be the output of the machine learning algorithm? What is it trying to find out? What is the output of the machine learning algorithm? This particular thing is going to be. In a similar terminology, so X is known to you, Y is known to you. What do you not know?
fx. fx.
Yeah, we do not know. So the output of this is going to be fx. Okay, what particular transform should I apply on my input so that I get the output? Okay, and what is the end goal of this? Why do you want to find fx? Just to find fx?
So that we can use new x and find y.
Yeah. So the goal of fx, goal of doing this is to do something called as prediction. Okay, what is prediction? Any unknown input is given to you, and an unknown x is given to you. You want to find out what is the corresponding y going to be. Okay, that is one reason we use machine learning algorithms. Another is to interpret the data. Okay, prediction and interpretation. Okay, in some cases we might want to know what is the relation between x and y. Okay, maybe they are linearly related or whatever. Okay, prediction might not be an important thing in some cases. We just want to interpret the data in a more organized manner, which might not be visible to a human being directly. Okay, without this particular transform being calculated. Okay, so do you understand the difference between traditional programming and the machine learning paradigm of programming? You get it? Anybody has a question here? Nope. Okay. So machine learning can be primarily divided into two types. Okay, what are the two types of machine learning? Some of you might know. Anybody? Umama, you said something I couldn't hear.
Supervised and unsupervised.
Yeah, supervised and unsupervised. Okay, so the example I just gave here was an example of what? Supervised learning. Okay, what is supervised learning? So my machine learning algorithm, what am I giving? I'm giving both the input and the corresponding output. Okay, is given to the algorithm. Okay, and it is used to make come up with a model that will generate an output corresponding to an unknown input. Okay, so that is supervised. In unsupervised case, we really do not have a specific output. Okay, we just want to look at if there is a pattern in the data. Okay, for example, one example of unsupervised learning. So this is an example of supervised learning. An example of an unsupervised learning algorithm might be that, let us say I want to see how many students have cheated from each other. Okay, and I just want to, I have my Excel spreadsheet. Okay, my Excel spreadsheet is there. Okay, with question 1, so many marks. This is the student's name. The first column is the student's name, and then question 1, question 2, question 10. Okay, I have a spreadsheet like this. Okay, and I want to see whether there is a possibility that there are two students who might have copied from each other. Do you think there is an a clear y here? What would be a y? What would be the output in this particular data set? Do you think there is an output y in this data set?
No, sir.
There is no specific output in this data set. I just want to see if there is a pattern somewhere. Okay, So this kind of learning might be an example of unsupervised learning, okay, where I do not have a specific output in my data set. I just, so the term that I'm using is data set, okay. So we might want to do what? We might want to look at if there is a pattern somewhere. If there is a pattern that almost all questions, two students score the exact same marks in all means in all the questions. In question 1 to 10, they score the equal number of marks. Then there is a possibility that I might want to look closely at their answer scripts. So that might be a place where I might want to flag, my algorithm might want to flag that these two students, you might want to take a closer look at their copies, okay. So that is an example of that. So in supervised algorithms, you have again division into two types, okay. What are the two types? Anybody? I think a couple of you mentioned those things, use a single word. What are the two types of supervised learning?
Iteration and classification.
One is classification. Okay. So in this case, the output is discrete. Okay. For example, this. In this case, what are we doing? How many possibilities you have? How many possibilities of outputs do you have? If we are recognizing a single digit, how many possibilities do you have? Yashwardhan, you're saying something.
10.
I missed that. 10. You have digits from 0 to 10. That's all. 0 to 9. Sorry. Okay. So you have 10 possibilities. So the output is discrete. Okay. So in some cases, let us say you might be wanting to recognize, means predict whether somebody, means based on certain images, whether you want to predict that somebody has cancer or not. Okay. So if you, so you have certain inputs, okay. What are your inputs? Your whatever MRI images or whatever, okay. That is your input, and the output is whether somebody has cancer or not. So how many possibilities will you have in that output? So again, please understand that this classification and the other thing that I'm going to talk about is based on what the output looks like. So the output in this case is discrete. So what the example that I just gave you regarding the cancer patient, means possible cancer patient, based on the image. How many outputs possibilities do you have?
Two.
Two
Yes,
possibilities.
sir.
Yeah, two possibilities. Whether somebody has cancer or does not have cancer based on the input images. Okay. So that kind of learning algorithm is going to be a classification. Learning problem is going to be a classification problem. You're classifying into various categories, or also called as categorical. Okay. So you're dividing the output into certain categories. Okay. The other kind of problem is called as regression. Okay. What is regression? What is the output going to be in this case? Output is continuous. Okay. So again, we are calling, this has been in use for maybe 200 years. People have been using regression. Okay. So machine learning has adopted that particular technique into its own domain. Okay. So this regression is, I'll give you an example of what regression is in a moment. Let me draw a graph. Let us say you have a data set that is available to you, okay, and the data set has the two columns, okay. One of them is engine horsepower, okay, and the second one is kilometer per liter. Okay, these are two columns in your data set. One is engine horsepower and the other one is kilometer per liter. Okay. So do you expect any kind of relationship between these two? based on your own logic?
Inverse.
Yes, sir.
I couldn't hear you, Sridhar and Medha, both of you unmuted, but I couldn't
Yes,
hear.
sir. Yes, sir.
What kind? Let somebody else answer. I think I covered that in your session. Anybody else wants to answer that? They are right that it is there, but what kind of relationship do you expect? Shivansh, what do you expect?
Sir, kilometer per liter.
Yeah.
Depends, sir. Horsepower is more, so I think it will spend more, but speed will be more. So means I think it will spend more for 1 kilometer if horsepower is more.
Yeah, more fuel will be used when the engine has higher horsepower.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Uh,
think so.
so that is, you are right in that case. In most cases, obviously it depends on your engine design. If an engine is very poorly designed, there are poor, you can poorly design anything. Okay, so even if your horse and so it may consume a lot of fuel, but it does not move well at all almost. Okay, so that is also a possibility. But in any case, so let us say we are talking of a same kind of engine, same kind of fuel and everything. So let us say all of them are petrol engines, okay, using a similar technology. Okay, so let's say engine horsepower is 100, kmpl is, let us say, 20. Okay, and then we have another engine which has 300 horsepower, kilometer per liter is, let us say, 6. If it is 150, let us say it is 18. Okay. Yeah, I think I covered this in uh, your class as well. Sridhar, did I? I think so. Now I am remembering. Anyway, so 150, and then finally, let us have, no, there was a different example. That was the price of your cars, I think. Yeah. 150, let us say we have a 200, 12. Okay, something like that. Okay. Now, the goal of, now you want to generate a model. Okay. What should the model do? What should the model do? The model should be able to do what? Anybody? What do you think in this case we might want to do?
Sir, it should find the kmpl for new engine horsepower.
Yeah. So one possible application of this might be that if you buy a car which is 250 horsepower, what expected kmpl you might get? Okay, what expected mileage? I don't know, or economy you might get. In India, we call it mileage. Yeah, right. So, so we plot this on an XY plot. We have engine horsepower over here and kmpl on the y-axis. This is 20, and this is 300, 200, 100. So 100 gives you 20. That is 1 point. What is the next point? 300 gives you, this is 5, 10, 15. 300 gives you 6. Next point is 150 gives you 18. Maybe a little more. Okay. And then finally 200 gives you 12. Did everybody understand this plot? Anybody who did not get how I plotted this? Everybody? Okay, great. So now my goal might be to create a model, okay, to create a model so that I can predict in the future if I find that my horsepower is, let us say, 250, what is my mileage going to be? What is my mileage going to be in kilometers per liter? Okay, so what do you think? Again, your computer is only going to do what you are going to tell it to do. Tell it to do. So first thing that we have to do is that we have to decide on what model to choose. Okay, how many points do you have here? How many points do you have?
4.
You have 4 points, Shivansh?
Yes.
You said something, but my speakers are really bad. I don't know why they go mute. I'll change these speakers in the next class. Yeah, please repeat.
I said 4 only, sir. That
Yeah,
4.
yeah. So what my speakers do? They go to sleep and then they wake up. They go to sleep very fast, and when they wake up, when you speak something, by the time they wake up, you have already spoken your small short phrase. Then I can't hear it. Everybody else can hear it, but I can't hear it. So I'll change these speakers in the next class. So you have 4 points. One possible model might be, you could possibly choose a model like this. It's not really wrong. I mean, it is wrong in one sense, but there is nothing stopping you from choosing a model like this, isn't it? You could have a possibility that your KMPL is the average of all these values. What is the average of these values? क्या है? 18, 18, 36 और 20, 56. 56. 56 divided by 4 is how much?
14. 14.
14. Okay. One possible model might be to choose this, that every car, I predict that every car has the mileage equal to the average of all that I had in my data set. Okay, you can choose that, but do you think it's a reasonable choice for this particular data set? Do you think it will make a good prediction?
No, sir.
It won't make a good prediction, so this is not really a good choice. Not a good choice. Not good. Okay. So so a straight line which is parallel to your x-axis is not going to be able to capture what is going on in your data. Okay. So this particular thing is called as underfitting. Okay, the model that you have chosen is not fully fitting your data. Okay, it is underfitting. It is not. Can you read this? What am I writing in red color? Yeah, probably you can. You can? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So this phenomenon is called as underfitting. You are not fully capturing the movements of your data. Okay, so this is called as underfitting. Another option is that you could possibly choose, what is the next logical option? I'll ask you guys. Anybody wants to say? What is the next logical option to choose?
Sir, equation.
Huh?
Equation of a straight line.
Yeah, equation of a straight line, which is not, this obviously this is a straight line, but this is a straight line with a constraint that is parallel to the x-axis. We can choose a straight line which is no longer has that constraint. Okay, we allow any arbitrary straight line to be fit to this. Let us say that the arbitrary straight line has this particular value. Okay, y is equal to mx plus c. Okay. You do not have anybody has a class right now?
No, sir.
Shivansh?
We don't have class.
Okay. So I'll continue only for 10, 15 minutes, not more than that. Okay, let me complete this example and then I'll stop. So you could possibly choose a model like this. Okay. Now, how do you find out the values of m and c so that it fits this particular data set properly? Okay. T. So this is a straight line. Do you think it's a good representation of what we are trying to accomplish?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It is not. Okay, you wouldn't choose this. This is not a good choice. Again, not a good choice. What do you think is a good choice? Do you think? Let me draw some in a different color. Maybe orange color. Yeah. What do you think about this?
Yes, sir, it is a good choice.
This seems like a much better choice than the other two choices that we have drawn till now. So again, we are so what I give to the learning algorithm is the model selection. Okay, the first model, the model itself was not good. Okay, in the second case, I have chosen my model. Okay, what have I chosen my model to be? A straight line which can be in any direction. Okay, a straight line which is completely free to be in any direction with any slope and any y and x intercepts. Okay, so this is the second. This is the model that I have chosen. So I choose this. Okay, the human being chooses this particular model. Okay, y is equal to mx plus c, and now the goal of the learning algorithm is to come up with. So how many possible lines do you have if you have this particular model selection? How many lines do you have? Possible lines?
Infinite. Hello.
You are, yeah, Shivansh, go ahead.
Sir, means you are asking that how many possible lines we can make.
Yeah, how many possible lines can we make once we have chosen this model? How many possibilities do you have for the number of lines that you can draw using infinite number of lines? Okay. Now, so the goal of my learning algorithm is to choose this orange line and not this light blue line. Okay. The goal of the learning algorithm is to come up with this orange line as the output instead of the blue line as the output. Okay, once this I have chosen for the learning algorithm, I have chosen the model that I want to choose. I want a straight line. Okay, now the learning algorithm has to come up with the orange line as the solution, not the blue line or any other line. Okay, how do I decide that?
By
Anybody?
minimizing the distance of each and every point from the line.
So we define something called as the error function. Okay, also sometimes called as the loss. Okay, loss function. Okay, error function E is defined as there are many ways you can define your error function. One possible error function is the mean square error, MSE. Okay. Mean squared error. Okay. What is mean square error going to be? So n is the number of points. In this case, what is n? Capital N. How many points do you have?
4.
4. Okay. So let us call this as I is equal to 1 to n. Okay. So sigma, everybody understands what sigma is? Summation. Everybody knows that? Anybody who doesn't know? I'm pretty sure everybody knows it. Okay, great. So, what is your error function going to be? It is going to be the fx that you have chosen over here. Okay, what is fx in this case? So this is your fx that you have chosen. Okay, so f xi minus what? So this is your x I and or you can call it x and y. This is, what is this? This is x1, this is y1, this is x2, this is y2, and so on and so forth. Okay, xn and yn. Okay, so fxi minus yi is going to be what? Square. Okay, I want to minimize this error function. What is this error function going to be? If you were to look at it graphically, let me look at, so let us look at this particular xi. So let us say we are looking at this. Xi in this case is 300. Okay. So what is fxi going to be? What is the value of fxi going to be? For if let us say f is now the orange line, what is fxi going to be? This value, isn't it? ठीक है ना?
Yes, sir.
Is that all right? Okay, so this is going to be your fxi, and this is your, so this value is fxi, and this is your yi. ठीक है? So I'm subtracting the value that I get. Okay, the value that I get is by doing our experiments or whatever the data collection methodology was, I get whatever my yi is. Okay, and I calculate fxi based on the model that I have chosen. Okay, now what do I want to do? If this is fxi, so the distance between these two is your error, isn't it? The one of these terms is going to be the distance between these two, isn't it? Are you okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Not Medha, anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Similarly, the distance between these two is going to be the second term of this. The distance between these two is going to be the third term, and the distance between these two is going to be the fourth term. Okay, and since we are taking square, it does not matter which of these two is higher or which of these two is lower. Both of them are going to make equal contribution. Okay, so our goal is going to be what? Our goal in this case is going to be what?
Minimize the error.
Minimize this error function. Okay, we want to minimize this. Okay, and what can you change in this particular case?
MNC.
M and C. Let me make a slight change here. Instead of calling as M and C, let me use a couple more different coefficients. Let me call this as W1 and W0. Okay, these are called as the weights. Okay, W1 corresponds to the weight, is the weight of x to the power 1, and W0 is the weight of x to the power 0. Okay, or the coefficient of. Okay, so if I were to write this down, wait, let me choose this. I'm going to erase this since we no longer need this necessarily. Now, my goal is to minimize this. How do I minimize that? What are the things that can change? Yi is already given to you, those 4 values. Okay, and xi is already given to you. The only thing that you can change is what? What are so the model is decided. The only thing that you can change is the parameters of the model. Okay, what are the 2 parameters?
W1
W0 and W1. Okay, so what do? You take derivative, partial derivative with respect to, so you want to minimize this particular error function. You do dE by dW0 is equal to 0, del E by del W1 is equal to 0. Okay, by applying these 2 derivatives, you can solve. You'll have how many equations? How many equations will you have?
2.
कितनी equations मिल जाएंगे हमें?
2 equations.
2 equations. How many variables do you have?
2 variables.
2 variables, W0 and W1. So you can easily solve for W0 and W1. So this is your homework exercise. We'll stop now, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Okay, if anybody has a question, I'll answer that. Otherwise, we'll stop here.
सर मतलब इन दोनों इक्वेशंस को सॉल्व करने के बाद W0 और W1 की कोई फिक्स्ड वैल्यू मिल जाएगी?
ट्राई करके देखना.
अच्छा, यस सर. मतलब ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि दोनों से अलग अलग आ रहा हो, कि वो अलग चीज पे मिनिमाइज हो या ऐसा?
ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है यार? 2 इक्वेशंस हैं, 2 वेरिएबल्स हैं.
यस सर. But unique.
Matlab, the only possibility is that you might get, mean in this case you won't get because there is a unique solution, we already know that. But there is only a possibility where if you have the number of variables is smaller, is equal to the number of equations, the only possibility that you have is that two equations might be dependent on each other. If they are dependent, then you'll have infinite number of solutions. Other than that, there is no possibility of not getting a solution when you have two equations and two variables.
Yes.
And we are talking about linear equations here. Okay, non-linear equations, there is a possibility, but these are not necessarily linear equations. But anyway, we get a solution here. Okay. Even if you have a non-linear situation, we'll get a solution, no?
Yes.
We might get a complex solution, but we'll get a solution.
तो means तब ज़्यादा parameters पे differentiate करेंगे तो
Yeah, if the number of equations is more than the number of parameters, then there is a possibility that we might not get a solution.
Yes.
Okay, but in this case, that's not an issue.
Yes.
Okay. Then we might get a contradiction somewhere. Okay, two equations. Let us say you have three equations and two variables. Okay, first two equations give you some solution which is not satisfied by the third equation. Then you'll have what? You'll have a no solution in that case.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Tanya, is that okay? The amount of mathematics till now?
Yes, sir. Acha, हाँ, sir.
Okay. Means I'll try to keep mathematics as a minimum, at a minimum, and try to give as much intuition as possible. Okay. Okay. Bye bye. See you on Wednesday. Everybody else, please leave. I have a meeting with Umama. Umama can stay. Everybody else can leave. Thank you.